Welcome to Beyond the Box. Inside, outside, upside, downside, beyond the box.
Break it down.
Our guests are insiders, now on the outside and the right side, dropping truth and nuclear intel bombs and breaking it down just for you. And now it's time to meet your hosts and co-hosts. Your hosts of Beyond the Box are Brenda Lankart and Suzanne Hott. Brenda Lankart is host of Beyond the Box and retired law enforcement. Joined by Suzanne Hott, host of Beyond the Box, Joel's Indoor Arena and Event Center, and White Horse Productions. They are joined by co-hosts Tom Althouse, Tommy Edwards, Brian Sang, and Penny L.A. Shepard. Tom Althouse, co-host Beyond the Box, is the real author of The Matrix, The Immortals, and The Matrix Redeemed. Tommy Edwards, co-host Beyond the Box, Virginia Tech football star, recording artist, and mental health advocate. Brian Sang, co-host Beyond the Box, Full Disclosure Now Movement, FullDisclosureMovement.org. And Penny L.A. Shepard, executive producer and co-host of David Zublick's Awake Nation, The Dark Outpost, Patriots Perspective, and Beyond the Box.
Break it down.
This show is for entertainment purposes only. Inside, outside, upside, downside, beyond the box. Beyond the Box begins now.
Hello again. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Box. Today is, June 14th, 2024. Still, Susie, still 2024.
We're just halfway there.
Shit.
What's the big hurry? What are you trying to get out of 24 for?
Because I'm really excited to see if 2025 is going to be just as big a shit show or bigger.
You know what I heard? I heard if you look to the past, it will give you depression or something, and if you look to the future, you'll get anxiety. So you got to live in the present.
You know what? I get anxiety in the present. What's the difference? I might as well have something fun to look forward to. I want to know if I have to tie like a Rambo thing around my head and get in some jeans and, wife beater and go outside and roll around in the mud. Just sounds like fun. That sounds like a good time to me. So how have you been?
I think this has been like a week of meditating and talking to God and just kind of just gathering information, doing my research. It's been kind of quiet. I mean, I don't know. It's just been a weird week.
I think I'm in trouble with God.
Why?
Well, because he's been coming in my sleep and yelling at me. Go help, go help, go help, go help. Won't tell me how. Won't tell me why. Won't tell me what to do. Just says get my butt up and help. Well, what?
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
What do you know?
I don't. That's the problem. Apparently, he thinks I'm smarter than what I think I am because I can't figure it out. I think I have, but it'll be all right. So,
well, there you go. So you think you don't have a lot of confidence, but then you actually do have a lot of confidence. So just lean on that confidence part. You'll be all right.
I think it was on my right side, And when I lost my leg and I lean to the right, I kind of fall down. So I'm not so sure if that's a
Hey,
right
at
idea.
least you don't get snake bit on that side, okay?
Hey, no more twitching. Thank you, Lord. That was just a little too much. I felt like that kid sitting there trying to eat his own ear. Ah! You know?
I
So,
can't imagine you going to the hospital with a snake through your foot and them having to cut it off while it's wiggling around. I don't think they get they think they get paid enough to do that kind of work, you know?
I don't think they get. I used to do that kind of work, so you're right. They don't get paid enough to do anything. So either job I didn't get paid enough. It's like,
Right?
well,
Right.
you want to start us off with, oh, Norma thinks that's funny. Haha. It was funny, Norma. It's all good. Hello, Denise. All right. So you want to get us started? In our
Yeah,
little,
I just pray a huge hedge of protection around us because I feel like, you know, the more that we try to get to the truth, the more we face obstacles and problems and things come at us, you know, as you know. And so I just ask for a huge protection around each and every one of us, everybody on the show and all our listeners, and you know, because we need a lot of help. And I just ask that I ask the Father in Jesus' name for that help.
yes, definitely. All right. Let me find my co-hostess that does the mostest. I think that's her right there. Let's see. Ah, right one. I picked right. It was like a straw in a hat. Unmute yourself, Penny.
Talking to yourself, girl.
We got a full house here. It's a Hollywood Squares backstage.
There you are.
I seen it.
I do want to introduce who our guest is going to be before we introduce our co-host. So the individual this evening is Nancy Timms. It's spelled THAMES like Thames, but it's actually Tim. A prominent figure in the realm of alien disclosure. She was formerly employed by the Department of Defense, and her life took an extraordinary turn as she embarked on a journey of encounters with interdimensional and extraterrestrial beings. Through personal struggles and profound transformations, Nancy has emerged as a staunch advocate for disclosure, firmly believing it is time for disclosure. At the heart of Nancy's message is her conviction that these encounters hold immense significance, not just for herself, but all of humanity. Through her platform, timefordisclosure.com, she invites open dialogue about the implications of extraterrestrial interactions and their role in human evolution. Drawing from her experiences and insights gained from beings across dimensions, Nancy challenges conventional narratives surrounding these encounters. Rather than viewing them as abductions, she posits them as enlightened contacts, part of a broader benevolent interaction to guide humanity into a new era of cosmic awareness. The dogs are howling. In this live stream interview, Nancy will share her encounters, and that's this interview right here. She's going to delve into the deeper meaning behind these experiences and I'm sorry, the dogs are howling, and explore their implications for our collective consciousness.
They're dogs. They're singing to you.
They are singing, and I'm going to mute myself while you bring in our other co-host.
I sure will. So let's see. First up, we've got our very multi-talented Mr. Tommy Edwards. Hi,
Hey,
Tommy.
Tommy.
How are you?
I'm a shell of myself. I'm fine.
How's
Dude,
your
I
week
got-
been? I hear you've been moving and shaking and doing all kinds of stuff down there.
Yeah, moving and shaking and toweling off and try to figure out which direction it's going to come from next. Yeah, it's been a weird week. New coworker.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
New
That's
co-worker from the CIA agencies.
Yeah,
Like I said,
Yeah.
worked
a
with Ollie
three-letter
North.
place. Yeah.
Don't eat or drink anything that he tries to hand you.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Make sure you bring your own coffee, your own
Yes.
water.
Yes.
It's Pastor Danny. I mean,
Yeah. Okay. All right. So next up, I have got Brian. Hello, Brian.
I can see him.
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
Hey, Brian.
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. We'll see when I freeze.
You froze.
You already did. It's a good look, though, Brian. I like
We
it.
got 3 seconds of you smiling and moving. It's a good face.
All right. Now,
Put on Luke.
now, everybody get ready. Norma, get ready.
It's Dr. Lampshade.
I've got Dr. Lampshade on board.
Dr. Lampshade.
Lampshade.
Yes,
He's not really a doctor, but he stayed at a Motel 6 and stole their lampshade so he could keep going.
doctor. The doctor of the heart. Yeah.
Yes, the doctor of the heart.
Mr. Thomas
This is Brian.
Althouse, the actual writer of The Matrix. Pleased to see you this evening. You look grand.
Thank you. I've been having all these thoughts. I've been having some wild stuff happening. I'll get to that later. But let's get our guest rolling. Yeah.
Yeah. All righty. So let me go ahead and bring out Nancy. Hello, Nancy.
Hi,
Glad to have you with us tonight.
thank you.
Feels
We're a
like
group
we're
of oddballs. Hey.
Yes.
So Nancy for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nancy for 7.
Nancy for
I'm calling on Nancy. Nancy for 7. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got interested? Because you had a longevity and career with the DoD. How did that start?
Well, I'm a lifelong contactee with interdimensionals and extraterrestrials, and that is who I am. Working for the Department of Defense as a civilian was something that they instigated because they wanted me to have that experience. So whether they knew about me or not, I don't know. But I used it to value myself and to learn what I could. And I understand now from this experience, and I realize everything that's ever happened in my life from my birth on to this very day, even tonight, is something that they want me to experience, because it just like their visitations with people serves a greater purpose. All these things happen for a reason and serve a greater purpose. So for me, I was with them for about 11, 12 years, something like that. And I learned a lot about, I was in dentistry and I have a worldwide radiology permit. And so for me, was privileged to be around 3D technology, 3D imaging technology that you do not see in private practices. So when I had a trip that the interdimensionals sent my son and I to in Mexico last fall, in August, the end of August, the 1st of September, they sent us there. And when we came back is when they were doing those Mexico inaugural hearings on those Peruvian mummies. So everybody had just decided that they were not going to even take this seriously because of the person presenting it. But for me, I wanted to see the evidence. I wanted to see the 3D-dimensional x-rays, because from my experience from working with them, you cannot cheat those x-rays. If they are composed of chicken bones or children pediatric parts or whatever of those top bones, I would immediately be able to see it. And so would anyone that has any knowledge of radiology. So it played a part. Everything that I've ever done has played a part in a role in helping me to become who I am today. So, but I'm a lifelong contactee, and my first conscious memory started at an age of 2 and 3. And throughout my life, the way that they would transport me back and forth to craft, and also the way that my frequency has changed throughout my life is dramatically changed. So, and my consciousness has changed, and they've helped me with that. They gave me a Kundalini awakening about 2 years ago. And when they did that, that absolutely just glued everything together, where all this time throughout my life, a lot of times I knew it happened, but I could not piece the meanings of all these things. But now with this Kundalini awakening, it all just makes perfect sense. Everything fits together. The puzzle has come together, and my understanding of the experience is far greater. And I'm so thrilled because of having this knowledge. I'm happier than I've ever been. If you had asked me 20 years ago how I felt about being a contactee or experiencer or whatever people want to call us, before I understood it all, I was very confused and I was very scared at times. And it was not an easy thing to endure throughout my life. And, when people are telling you that you're crazy or telling you that, you're seeing demonic things or telling you all these negative things, it's very hard. And I had to suppress it to keep my balance and my mental health and maintain my position as a mother, a grandmother, family member, to keep, peace within family, within friends, and keep employment. So I learned very quickly at a young age that you could not talk about these things to just anybody because the world wasn't ready as it is today. And I'm so thankful that I'm actually alive at this time when we can say it's time for disclosure. It is time. So I think it's amazing. And I'll be, I've got a lot of stuff I could tell you. I'll just let you ask me whatever you want.
First, Tommy, on your thing, can you mute and unmute yourself?
Yeah.
Without, okay.
Perfect.
Cool. That way, when you want to talk, unmute yourself. We'll see your mic is open because we're still getting that little bit of an echo. I'm gonna get you earpiece.
And you too, Susie, and everyone, please.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then so I wanted to ask you, Nancy. And I know my screen's probably frozen and all that. But I know both you and Tommy are going to be speaking at our conference coming up next month in July in Florida. And a big part of it is the vast majority of the experiencers in the disclosure movement, kind of on the whistleblower side. Unfortunately, many have had negative ET contact experiences, right?
Exactly.
And then here you are, and Barry Littleton and many others, they've had vastly positive ET experiences. And then there's soon to be people in our community who they're a mix of both, right? Because it's kind of like the positive ETs, they come and take some of us away. And then the next thing you know, the militaries of the world, they get interested and then they abduct you too. Now you've had two abductions from two very different groups. One could have been incredibly positive, one incredibly negative, right? There are people who are being abducted by both positive and negative ET factions, as well as, human. So could you comment on that?
I can. You have to understand, just like my growing up, for example, it was not the time or place that I could communicate and explain these things or discuss my experiences because the world was not ready. We are evolving as a human race. Humankind is evolving. And this period of time in particularly, we are branching out from our 3D realm up into the fourth dimension and possibly going up into the fifth dimension. With that comes higher consciousness, which means higher awareness, understanding the things we see around us. With that comes more knowledge, understanding things better, seeing things we never saw before, experiencing things we never saw. So what that boils down to is that what we may have thought of something as being negative or something that we didn't understand, or we realize we've had missing time or fragmented memories, and we understand that we were in a 3D world at the time when these things happened, and that our brains will try to fill in these bits of missing time, missing pieces, because extraterrestrials and interdimensionals, once they sense your fear, your anxiety, they do not know how to handle this. They do not like this. They will always tap you out. And when I say tap you out, not necessarily hit you in the head, but with their higher consciousness, they can telepathically put you in a sedated state. And when you're in this sedated state, it's like being sedated, but you're not receiving any medication. They do this through their higher consciousness, because their higher consciousness is their technology. Our technology is an entity on the side. Like I'm talking to you through a laptop, which is this is our technology. There is no outside technology in their reality. Their consciousness is their technology. So they do not favor these feelings, and they will do that. But the problem with that, and I've experienced this over and over again, they're not going to sit there and deal with an erratic human being. They are very task oriented, and they're going to do what they're intended to do, which most of the time it is a physical exam, but it's not the kind that you hear about here. The Earthlings have made their own versions. They try to humanize everything, and it's not like that. There is no probing. They're a billion years ahead of us in evolution. Nothing in our reality applies to them. They are way above us in all skills, levels of knowledge and technology, spiritual growth, evolution, the whole 9 yards, propulsion, everything. So that's the problem, is that human beings try to humanize a reality and a higher consciousness beings, and it does not apply. It is not human in any way. So the way I see it and the way they explain to me, and I know this, fear is real. Everybody's experience is real. But as they get older and as they advance in evolution, the way the reflection, when they look back on it, their opinions may change. It may change with more knowledge and more awareness, and realizing through this process that we simply do not understand and know everything about the world around us at this point. And we're just now branching out into this new levels of new thinking and new ways of living, where we will experience so much more.
Nancy, can you tell us what happened to you, like exactly, and who are the ETs that you actually, encountered and talked with?
Well, the way it works for me is always 3 grays come from me. Ever since I was born, 3 grays. I am bonded with a female gray, and she is not gray. There are over 60 different races of grays. There's not just one race. Grays are of different colors, different heights, and different facial features. The one that I am bonded with, that I love tremendously, and she loves me, is a female, and she is reddish brown. And she is a hybrid gray. She is not robotic. None of them are robotic. They seem to be that way to some people because they don't show any emotions, and they're very task oriented. But she was created by the interdimensionals and the tall grays, as she does the legwork for them. What she does, and the 2 others with her, Leafcraft comes and gets contactees, gets them ready for transport, and then takes me to Craft. When I get on Craft, I don't see her anymore. That's when I am around the interdimensionals, who are 7 to 8 foot tall. They are kind of a whitish luminescent. And when I say luminescent, that's just like in the older days, when you heard about in biblical days, where they talk about the shiny ones. They are kind of like the shiny ones. And the way they explain this to me is that if all of us, if they took us and teleported us back in time to biblical days, and we walked up in front of them, they would look at us and call us the shiny ones, because we are of higher consciousness than them. We are at a higher level of consciousness, so we would appear as the shiny ones. So the interdimensionals are the ones that look kind of like the shiny. Then the extraterrestrials just look like extraterrestrials, because they're of a lower frequency and a lower frequency. So in the tall grays look gray, and there's different kinds of grays, all different sizes. And to me, they feel like dolphins. The skin feels like dolphins. Then I've seen a reptilian being. He was brown, and he was his personality was kind of authoritative type. He was very authoritative. He was not a negative being by any means, but I could tell that he walked with pride, and he was like an authority. I've seen aquatic beings. They don't really like to make eye contact with human beings. They don't like to interact with us. I don't know why. I've tried several times, and they don't seem to be, they don't want to get cozy with human beings for whatever reason. There's so many different beings. It's hard to explain. I've seen a lot of times I don't really know the difference between a Nordic and a Palladian. And when I'm there, we don't trade names or anything. In their reality, they don't go by names. They don't use names or labels. They're telepathic. And when they speak to me, it's telepathic. And their frequency is their signature. That is their name. So when they're speaking to me, I know who it is. And it's not like in their world of telepathy. I can't talk. Telepathic
You're okay.
communication. It's not like we visualize it here on Earth. It's not like you hear, when I'm in there, I'm telepathic with them. And it's not like I hear all these different things going on all around me. It's not like that. It's more advanced, I guess. If I really don't know how to explain it, to be honest with you, but I hear the person, I know who it is. And in there with them, I can sense inflection in their messages. I can sense whether they're male or female in their messages. But with the hybrid that I'm bonded with, that does the transport for me and works on my frequency to get me to prepare to travel. When she speaks to me, it is not male or female, and there's no inflection. So that's why I think people consider them robotic, because through their movements and through their messages, you don't sense it as being anywhere close to being human, because they're not. But they're not robotic. They're biological.
And then Nancy,
What do you think go ahead, Brian.
And go ahead, Susie. I'll go after you.
Do what?
I'll go after you. Yeah, you go ahead,
Okay.
Susie.
I was going to ask you, what do you think their reason or purpose that they brought you into their world and that you're interacting? Is it for disclosure, or is there? I'm thinking there's a higher purpose. So
Absolutely.
I'm just,
Okay.
yeah. Do you know what that purpose is?
Yes, I do. When I
Okay.
was 30 years old, my two sons and I were on a vacation in Florida at Key West, and they were in one bed. I and my ex-husband were in another bed, and I woke up. I have the ability, I know when they're coming. So the frequency around me changes, the frequency within me changes, and I know that they're coming. So I raise up, and 3 grays materialized in the hotel room. And these were not the grays that come for me. These were 3 foot tall, short grays, and they had on robes and high collars. And when they saw me sitting up, one walked over to me and pushed me on my left side, pushed me down and said, "This is not about you." And so I laid down, and he put me in a sleep paralysis. So I could not speak and I could not move. And then they walked over and they took my 2 children, and I watched the whole thing. And I was very traumatized at the time. I was upset. I was angry. I thought it was horrible. I was very upset. And so after they left, he released me and I fell asleep. And the next morning I woke up, they were fine in the bed. And at breakfast, I asked them, and I said, "Did you have any strange dreams or anything you'd like to talk about?" And they said no. And so I had mentioned it to my ex-husband, and he said, "Don't talk to the kids about this. Please." He said, "This could have just been a dream, blah, blah, blah." He wasn't into all this. So I left it alone. But when I got home, I sit down and I meditated to them. And I formed what I considered a circle of trust and faith and love, a circle around me. And I asked them to please give me answers on why this has happened to me, why this is happening to my children. What is the purpose? What is the meaning? And I'm not a person that says that I can call them down or anything like that. I'm a human being. I'm an energy being having a human experience. So they came on their time eventually. And my female gray came for me. And she took me on board a craft and took me in front of a group of what they called themselves elders. They were elders.
Elders?
So,
okay.
Elders. And I asked them, why is this happening to me? And why are my children involved? And what is the purpose? What is the meaning? And they said that I had made an agreement before having my human experience to be here at this particular time for humanity, because this is an evolutionary leap in higher consciousness, an evolutionary leap in time. And humanity, I needed to be here for this purpose, and that they really couldn't tell me everything at the age of 30 because my mind could only handle so much. And they told me that throughout my time, they would be giving me more information. And I was very confused. And of course, being telepathic, they knew. So what they did was they opened up a vision and they showed me, myself, sitting and waiting, and them coming up to me and saying, "It's time for your human experience." And then they walked me through the process of me going to an area of, I guess, being teleported or whatever. I don't really know the correct word for this, but they showed me and my soul self going into my mother and me becoming into a fetus, and that they would be coming to see me throughout my life. And when I would be a while before I would ever remember any of this. And that's basically what has happened to me. So I'm 64 years old. So, this is a lifelong thing for me. So I know I was an interdimensional and made a choice to be here. I was, and my children were too. We made a choice to come here and be here because this is the biggest thing to happen to humanity since our creation. This is big. We are taking a big leap in higher consciousness, and this is the reason why they are here now. They are here in huge numbers and in motherships surrounding our planet, and they are here. This is the biggest event for them. This is a big event for the universe. They have been waiting for us to get to this phase of our life. And not only that, but our planet is a living conscious being. Our universe is a living conscious being. All planets, everything on our planet is a living conscious being. All of these things have been waiting for human beings to wake up and understand our place, our true origins, our connections with every living thing on this planet, our connections to the cosmic realm. All of us are connected and we are all one. And we are just now, we're getting there. We're getting there. And they're just so excited. And their place in this, they knew this was going to happen long ago. And they've been planning on this. And they've watched many other races of beings grow through this evolutionary point throughout many universes and different galaxies. This is not their first rodeo when it comes to evolution and jumps in higher consciousness. So they're very excited, and they've been watching us forever. We've never been alone. And they're just on the side watching us grow into what we were intended to be. And they're very proud of us because we have been manipulated and controlled for so long. And we lost we don't know our true origins. We don't know all of the history of our planet We've been lied to about so many things. Things have been done to us that most people don't even realize. Our air is poisoned and toxins. Our water has poisons and toxins. Our food has toxins and poisons. And this is a way that they not only control the population of the planet, but also us by keeping us dumbed down at a lower consciousness level and keeping us unhealthy so that we don't even live the lifespans that we're supposed to live. So there's so many reasons why they're here, but it's because of humanity reaching higher consciousness and waking up. That's why they're here. They're very proud of us, and they want to help us, lend assistance. They're not going to fix anything for us. They cannot. So they're just here watching.
Now,
And
Nancy,
then-
you said,
Actually, let me jump in really quick here, Susie.
Yeah.
So Nancy, like you mentioned these councils, right? And
The
then
elders. Mhm.
the elders. Then I want to ask, have you encountered anyone or groups identifying themselves as the Galactic Federation or the Galactic Court System?
No.
Okay. And then the elders or these councils, how do they identify themselves by? Do they have names like the
No.
Andromedan Council or just the council?
No. These are interdimensionals. They are not from anywhere in our dimension. And if they gave me a name, humans use names. Interdimensionals and extraterrestrials really don't go by the names that we use, and they do not use names. And if they did give me the name, we would not understand it and we would not be able to see it. And
These vibrations and energies to describe them and label themselves, or they're known to each other by their energy, right?
the frequency, yes.
Frequency, yeah.
Yes. When they're all telepathic and they are all of different frequencies. We all have a frequency. We're just at a lower frequency. That's how they locate me, is through my frequency. They know where I've lived in Australia. I've lived in Hawaii. I live in Mississippi now. I've lived in Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee. List goes on and on. Wherever I am, they can find me because I give off a frequency. I am a frequency. That is who I am.
And those beings who are the elders on the council, that's one thing. But then you still have, like when you talk about the gray female who's kind of like linked with you psychically or you're bonded, that being, that is like a being within our universe and our density. And then you're also dealing with the higher beings at higher densities who are not within this physical universe.
Not
right?
all grays are within our realm. They're interdimensional too, but that doesn't mean they're at like the interdimensionals. They're not as a high a frequency.
Tommy, did you have a question?
I was going to say, it's our resonant frequency, like our brain print, same way that they can locate us here on Earth. I mean, our own governments and different factions have technology to do the same thing. And you were talking about how they immobilize you when you sleep. I think it's by like overloading our resonant frequency, like slightly changing it to where it's almost like too much electricity going through our central nervous system, and it shuts us down.
I could go there. My knowledge of it is that they can go in and take my consciousness and turn it on, turn it off. And I'm not unconscious, but it keeps me at a calmer, sedated state so that I can go through the whole experience. But my only problem with that, or the part of it I don't like, is that my memories would become fragmented. But when they did the sleep paralysis, I was fully conscious. I just couldn't, I was wide awake. They wanted me to see what I was seeing, but they didn't want me to interfere and upset my children. So now when it happened, I was very upset and scared and stuff. Now, when I reflect back, I see it for the true purpose. The hope, they could have done it without me ever even knowing, but that was the point. That's why it served a higher purpose. And that's why I say most people don't understand at the time that these things happen. They wanted me to know that it was more to it than this, more to it than me. And there's more to it for me to understand. They wanted me to know that there's people around me that are experiencing the same thing too. And that it's a worldwide thing. It's not just singled out, isolated to just individuals. It happens to a lot of us.
Nancy, you said that they said it wasn't about you. So do you believe that it is that they want you to be a witness, and that you want to be a voice and a witness and testify, that these things are real and validate other people because other people have experiences and you have a lot of experience with them, so you're kind of
It,
kind,
when I
kind of
say,
validating.
yeah, when I say it's not about me, it is about me in a sense. What I'm saying is that my purpose for doing this is not about me. My purpose for doing this is to help humanity. I want to help humanity. I understand who I am and that I'm different. I do know that. And I understand that other people have had experiences that I have that were very different. And I understand. And I do know that I've experienced a lot of what they felt, but I evolved past that point. I want people to understand that I am a energy being having a human experience. I am a human being, and I do not claim to do anything other than being a human being and telling the truth and being honest and true and with love, telling people that they are here to help and they are not demonic and they are not evil. And, I want it to come from the heart and people to know that. And I don't want anyone to ever think that I think that I am superior, because I'm not. Because this is a worldwide phenomenon and it is affecting all of us. This is a worldwide thing. We are all reaching higher levels of consciousness. We are all taking a big leap going from our 3D realm to the 4D. And that's what I mean. This is not about me. This is humanity waking up, understanding your true origins, looking within, remembering who you truly, truly are. All of us made a choice to come here and be on earth. We made a choice. We just need to remember why we came here.
Right. Nancy Wu had a question about, he's been seeing an awful lot of UFO activity. He wanted to know if it's if that's usual, if that is unusual, if there's something else going on.
Well,
basically.
as we all reach higher levels of consciousness, which means our awareness will broaden, we are going to see more and more things. They are not hiding from us. They are in our skies. They're all over our solar system. We simply cannot see it because we're in a 3D realm and we only use our 5 senses to understand the world around us. These things are changing. We are going to come, our range is going to happen, but these are things that are not going to happen drastically overnight. It's not going to be like day and night. These things are just like in our creation. They start out and they're very slow because it has to be done this way so that everybody on this planet will feel a part of it. So everybody will not feel like in fear, running around with guns, crazy. It has to be done in the beautiful, creative way so that by the time we get to the end of it, it will seem like our world has always been this way. Because there's so much love and thought, pure intent involved in the whole ordeal. It's
Right.
done this way.
Now, I think that, well, there are some people that regardless of how you do it, they're still going to be afraid. I mean,
Yeah.
I've encountered and I'm not, even though what I encountered, I know they weren't very good, but I still wasn't afraid. I, I, I'm around them now They walk by. I smell them, and I know who they are, and I'm not
She's
afraid.
talking about reptilians. She's seen lots of
Yes.
reptilians.
Yeah.
And they stink bad, no matter what kind of form they
I've
try
heard
to take.
people say that grays have a smell. I've been around so many gray. None of them have ever smelled. So I don't know how these things occur or what happens, but it could be if you're seeing them here and this on our planet, maybe their biology is just not. Maybe something's not jiving with our atmosphere and what their body is like or something.
Yeah, I know when I
Can I
was
speak
little.
to that?
I know when I was little, the only thing I asked my dad when I seen one is, why did they smell so bad? And my dad says, well, they're underground. And I said, so they don't have baths underground? Here I was a kid and I seen this thing, and most kids would be like, oh my God, what is that? No, I just wanted to know why they smelled bad.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's important to distinguish, guys. Here, it seems like, it might be that the grays that Nancy's encountering, on the one hand, it might also be that's interdimensional. It's not in the physical, or it's while she's in sleep state. And then Brenda, you might have been dealing with some of the less friendly grays who are working under, say, Orion types or Draconians. who are doing
I've never seen
unfriendly-
grays in my sleep state. I'm fully conscious, and I have
And-
physical
Nancy,
face to face, touch hands,
but-
touch face, touch skin, the whole works, the
Okay.
whole 9 yards.
Okay, good. So it's physical for you too, Nancy, because I'm just saying, going off of other people's reports, there are people who,
Yeah.
on the other spectrum, like this,
Yeah.
the stinkier grays might be some of the ones who are here because they have to recover. They have to hybridize with humanity to recover their ability to reproduce
Well,
and use their digestive system.
I do know that the government has their own, or did have their own abduction, and they had their own version of a gray, supposedly. And when I was living in Hawaii, I had an experience where I woke up and found myself on a gurney. And I don't know if I was at a facility or on a craft, but when I became fully consciousness, the human beings, and there were female humans and there were grays around, and they were like scurrying around, and they were like, take her back, you cannot touch her, take her back. And then next thing I know, I'm back home in my bed. And so I do, and that's when I was living up in the mountains. It was on the mountains called Mount Me, and I was close to Pine Gap, not real close, but by air, pretty close. So I think that occurrence that they tried to get a hold of me, but they realized they couldn't do that.
So you're saying there was a negative faction that might have been trying to mess with you?
I didn't say they were negative, but they were not the grays, because first of all, they weren't a frequency that woke me up. I always wake up and I'm aware, but this was like somehow they got a hold of me, and then I woke up while on craft on a gurney and became fully conscious. And then I realized that they were scurrying around, and they couldn't wait to get rid of me.
Is it because you were under protection? And this, I'm not saying it was fine, maybe not a bad faction.
Yeah,
but
I have a
faction.
frequency that I belong to the interdimensionals. There's
Right.
no doubt about that. Yeah.
Okay, so then you got picked up by another group, and they said, "Oh no, we picked up the wrong gal."
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Right. I
humans
believe
were involved in
I
that.
think there's good and bad in everything, just like anything, there's good and evil in everything.
Well, the way that the interdimensionals explain this to me, through their evolution, their own evolution, is that as they advance up, negativity, warlike ways diminish, because you will understand, you'll reach an intellectual level to where you understand wars and negativity no longer serve you or humanity or their race. So it diminishes as you reach higher and higher levels of consciousness. And that's what their intentions are, and hoping that's what's going to happen with us. And I feel like it will. I feel like people will understand, if if we don't make major changes in our thinking and our ways of living, we could destroy ourselves. They are not going to let us destroy ourselves, because we are not the only living conscious beings on this planet. All of our oceans, our seas, our coral reefs, our mountains, our jungles, our animals, our indigenous people, all these innocent bystanders, even in these countries that we consider warlike, there's a lot of innocent bystanders in those countries. They see us as a big picture. There is no racism. There is no ego. There is no pride. There is nothing of this nature in their reality. So when they look at us, they see everything.
Well, I
We are
definitely
just a
need
little
to go
small
there.
part of what's beautiful about our planet. And they love our planet and see our planet as a living conscious being. So they're not going to let us use nuclear weapons and disrupt the balance of our planet, disrupt our nature, and it would ripple out into the universe and affect everything in the universe, because we are all one. We are all connected. And as we reach higher consciousness, we are going to remember our connections to everything. We all are connected. And when we were created, everything that we ever needed was put here on Earth. So all these synthetic pharmaceutical drugs and things, what we need is already and was put here on Earth. And they're either sitting on the technology, or maybe they haven't found some of it, but everything we need is here. And we're supposed to all work together. And, for example, when I was in Mexico, they took me to meet an indigenous tribe called the Zapotec, and they wanted me to meet these people. They were way down at the end of Mexico on the Pacific side in the state of Oaxaca. And I went up to San Jose del Pacifico, is a little town. It took me 3 hours to get up this mountain, and I went with my oldest son. And when we got up there, it was the most eco-friendly place I'd ever been in the world. And these people had appreciation of our planet, appreciation and respect for all living creatures. And my son went out on day trips with them. And with me, I would go on adventures with extraterrestrials at night, but my son would go out with the Zapotec during the day through the woods and hike. And we learned so many things. But for me, when I went outside that night, the first night they came to get me, they took their hands out and they said, everything is alive. Everything is alive. And then I looked and I could see plants talking to each other, trees talking to each other, and a tree was laughing. And I said, why is the tree laughing at me? And he said, he's not laughing at you. He's laughing at humanity. And I said, why? He said, you breathe the air they produce. You eat fruit off of their trees. You cut them down and make buildings and warm yourself with all these things. They provide all these things that you use in your daily life, and you have no appreciation of them, and you just take more than what you need. So that, to me, and that sounds really weird to y'all probably, but it was profound.
No.
It was
Sounds good.
profound. It was profound to me, because it's not that we're not allowed to use and take these plants, flowers, and fruits and vegetables, but do not abuse it and be respectful of it. And don't take more of what you need. Like, for example, when my son was out with the Zapotecs, they need firewood. They don't cut a whole tree down. They only cut off what they need. You always leave room for the plant or the creature or the being to continue on with its life cycle. You just don't take it all. So if you go get like a whole family, they call them a family of mushrooms, you don't take every single one of them. If there's 5, 3 at the most, you never take all of anything. And that's how they would go through the forest all day, getting things that they need and showing respect to these things for providing them with what they need. So that's the thing. We've got a lot of remembering to do. We have got to remember who we are within, how unique we are, and our connections with our planet, our connections with all living creatures on it. And as we do that, our world will become better and better. And all these things on our planet have been waiting for humans to finally get to this point as well. So it's not just the extraterrestrials and interdimensional, but our planet Earth is going through her own ascension. And she will be so thankful when we understand our connection with her and that we're treating her so wrongly and start treating it. And more, we'll have more peace all around us worldwide just by simply changing our thinking and our ways of living and becoming better human beings.
What was your last experience that you had with them?
I have experiences with them every single night. They're teaching me new things every night. I meditate or I'll say prayer with them and ask them to help me to understand more, help me to be able to get the messages across of that they want me to do. Before I come on podcasts, I ask them to be here and help me to be relatable and to help me to face any questions or anything that people ask. They're with me all the time. So
we've got about 4 minutes left. So you want to answer Wu's question? Nancy, can you see his question?
No, I don't. Well, question for Nancy, does the beings are under the same creator? Yes. The answer is yes. They believe in creator source, the creator source. All extraterrestrials and interdimensionals have souls, and they believe in the creator source. I'm sorry, I didn't even see that down there.
That's right. Nancy,
yeah.
She didn't mean we only have 4 more minutes. She meant we're going to be going to break in 3 minutes,
Oh,
and then we'll
5
be
minute
back
break. Yeah.
for another
Oh,
hour.
okay, that's
So,
fine.
you know, I need to say that because I don't want you to pop off and then I'm like, hey, where's our guest?
Right.
Yeah, no, we take a little break in
That's
between.
fine. Yeah.
Everybody runs and does their
Thank
stuff.
you for clarifying that because I thought you meant the show.
No.
Oh, no.
Yes, they believe in creator source. And for me, what they say to me is they played a part. Notice I said part. They played a part in our creation. They do not take credit for creating humans. They played a part. And from what they tell me, we are a combination of many different races.
And when we get back from break, I have a very good question for you. I don't want to ask it yet. I think that I know the answer, but however, I would like to hear what you have to say. So everybody, I know y'all gonna stick around for break. You know, everybody does their whole thing. I'm going to try to see if I can make a cup of coffee. I don't know how well it's going to work.
We take a 5-minute break, Nancy, and then
Okay.
so it's time to, you know, get some refreshment or do the things that you might need to do. And then
5 minutes to run around before you got to come back on.
that's right.
If I have to run to the little girls' room, it takes me a little bit longer than most. So it's, you know, it's like hobbling on one leg, playing hopscotch, you know. Glad I did that so much when I was a kid. I wouldn't have the experience now.
True that.
Jump rope with the snake.
Yeah. You had to
Nancy,
throw
she
that
was
one in
bit by
there,
a
didn't you?
copperhead last week. Copperhead bit her on. She's in a wheelchair. She has one leg. She was bit by a copperhead. The copperhead bit her in the one leg that she had in her foot. She had to go to the hospital, and the copperhead went all the way through. The fangs went all the way through. They couldn't get it out. So they had to strap the copperhead onto her in a bag and take her to the hospital. And then
What an experience.
there. Yeah, that was fun.
Wow.
That's our Brenda.
When I do it right.
You do indeed.
Wow.
I do it right. All right, everybody. We're going to go ahead and switch over to our 5-minute break. So everybody hang out with us. Oh, wait, you know, while I'm sitting here talking, wasting time, I got to look for the video. There it is. So we're going to go to break and we will be back in 5. Everybody stay tuned. just like that, we're back. Poof. Wait a minute. We lost a talking lampshade and we lost a talking Tommy. Hang on. Let me, I'm trying to find everybody. Okay.
So, Brenda, did you have a question that you wanted to ask Nancy?
Oh, I sure did. I sure did. Okay. So I have all of my life since little. I speak with what I have always taken as people that passed away. When I see them, though, I never see them in a human form. They're always light, reflective light for the most part. Every now and then I might see something that looks a little, see-through human type thing. But most of the time, they're bright light figure. So when we pass away, saying we're light beings anyways, would that be why sometimes when they come to me, they just want to sit and have a conversation? They don't want to go anywhere. They don't want to ask me where they are or what they're doing. I mean, would it?
We all have souls. And when we die, that is not the end for us.
Right.
When we die, our souls and our consciousness are not in any organs in our body. It resides sort of outside of our human body. So when we die, we ascend up into source. And when we get up there, depending on, you go before, probably like what I did, like, or what I have done, or other people talk about going before a group of elders or something of similar nature. But anyway, angels, whatever, everybody's got their own version of what they want to call these things. But so before you come here, you make agreements and contracts as to what you want to experience here. So as you pass through and leave this vessel, then you go, and it's decided if you've done all of the things that you wanted to experience here on Earth, then you can choose to be an extraterrestrial, a dolphin, and if you've met all these things that you wanted to do, you can stay in an etheric, non-physical state and stay up close to source in the non-physical realm. So spirits and beings and stuff, I have seen a ghost before, but I have not, I didn't talk with it, and it just appeared in my backyard walking across the yard at night. And, and it was like what you described, a white kind of see-through kind of luminescent white thing, and it was a Confederate soldier is what I saw. And so as far as the way I understand it is that it is hard for them to communicate with us unless we somehow get on their frequency. But I think, from what I understand, they do want to interact with us, and they do want to, but it's just as hard for them as it is for us. So
everything with, I like when they walk through my wall.
Things, yeah.
Yeah, I like when they walk through my wall, and I have had some say, "Am I dead?" And it's all telepathic. They can talk to me here, and I tell them, "Well, you walked in the wall. You're in my bedroom in the middle of the night, so I'm going to say yes."
Yeah, and from what I understand, if they were a playful type human being, they can be very playful, funny, very charismatic, everything in their spirit or in the spirit world as well.
Now I have an entity that was attached to a old German doll that I got, and she comes and goes.
Yeah,
she loves my caregiver. If he walks around and has nothing on his feet, she rubs his feet and drives him crazy. But she doesn't stay, but sometimes she does. Whenever he is doing anything for me around that doll, he always asks permission if he has to move her, touch her, which keeps her. She does move things. I'll find them in other places. When I'm a very particular person, everything has to have a place.
Yeah.
So I know when I put something somewhere, I'll go back and it'll be gone, and I'll be like, Hannah, put it back, please.
Yeah.
And then a few minutes later, I'll find it sitting over there, or it's like,
They,
but
I think sometimes
like
they just
her.
want you to remember that they're there, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
And I don't know a lot about the spirit world. All I know is just what they have explained to me. And I've had very few times that I actually interact, or I didn't interact. I observed is a better way of saying it. I observed. Yeah.
right. I don't do any of the other like we have people that remote view. Well, I guess
Yeah.
I do, but I do it when I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
I haven't figured out when I'm awake. Maybe because when I'm awake, I'm like, yeah, no, I might find a place to be and not want to come back. Yeah. But when I was growing up, my grandmother was like a mentor, and
Yeah.
my mind is a beautiful thing, and my energy is outstanding. And I
Yeah,
used to
and you're
do
probably
so
on a
many
much higher
things.
frequency than a lot of people. So your awareness is more open and you will sense and feel and see more. Yeah.
I do. And I keep that. I am not afraid. Uh, I have been in cemeteries. I have been scratched. I have been bitten. I have had my hair pulled, and I'm not afraid. I get up and walk away. Right when I get to the edge of the grass, I turn around and say, "You are not allowed to come with me. You have to stay here. I'm leaving." And I
Yeah.
walk away and leave.
Mhm.
I'm not afraid of almost anything, I think.
Well,
Well,
that helps a lot because
there's small things I'm afraid of, like
yeah,
weird looking spiders and
And
you know.
snakes.
fear is a powerful tool. It is very powerful. Yeah.
And I have to work on it more. I have a woman who is a psychic, and because I stopped after my grandmother died when I was 16, because I was never allowed anybody in my family. If I said anything, I see there's somebody standing here that shouldn't be here. My mom would tell me to shut up. I
Yeah.
was freaking her out. So when my grandmother passed away, I did not have that support. So I just shut everything down. The only thing I could never shut down was my visitors. They were always there, always around. I had to set boundaries. When I'm out with friends, you don't come and talk to me and expect me to talk back to you. If I'm asleep, leave me alone. You have to set those, because if you don't, they'll bother you 24/7. It's horrible. But yeah, so I'll get back there. I know I will. It won't take me very long. I just got to sit down and concentrate and do it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that we are light beings and we are just using these bodies. And
It's a
I
vessel.
hurry up and go back to light being, because I'm missing parts of my body already. I don't need to be missing no more.
Yeah.
But did anybody else have any questions for Nancy? I'm gonna check the chat because Woo's on a roll.
Yeah, Nancy, have you in your interactions with interdimensionals and extraterrestrials, have you come across any like reptilians that have like feather scales?
Not feathers, just normal. They were just normal looking. It was brown. He was brown. The ones I saw were brown, and they were just normal, just normal scales. Yeah, no feathers.
Yeah, I interacted with one in Kentucky years ago. Actually in a jail cell.
Oh wow.
Yeah, conversation turned to extraterrestrials, and he moved across it was like a big open thing. It was a bunch of hillbillies mostly that you got too many drunken publics, and then they get
Yeah.
sentenced to like a couple weeks. It was kind of like like 30 or 40 Otises. But so this guy, I mentioned the author Bob Frazell, and that was actually his neighbor
Wow.
in Kentucky there, and so he ends up pulling his stuff across the way and sitting there, and after a while, it's almost like his cloaking mechanism just was glitching, or he was showing me that he was, but he had it was almost like hairs over the scales, or like almost or primitive like feathers. What it kind of reminded me of.
Like quasi-coital sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And, yeah.
They can do very interesting things, that's for sure. They can also, in my experiences, they can pull an image from my mind and they can appear. I see them as the images they pull from my head. You know, like when I was little, if they wanted to comfort me, if my mother had been reading me a fairy tale, and if they wanted to be the book character. So what I would see is the book character, and they didn't physically change into that, but that is exactly what I saw. And that's what they wanted me to see, because it's a way of trying to find a comfort way of presenting themselves to you sometimes.
When I was little, they would present themselves as the band Kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Of all bands.
When they come to you, do they cloak to where they're clear, or like not so much clear, but you can still see the curvature of their bodies?
Oh, well, what they do with me is they are in their physical form. And when I went through my high school years, those were the years that the world around me started influencing me, and I started experiencing fear, anxiety, and not looking forward to visitations. And when I started doing that, they sensed it immediately, and then that's when they would put me in a trance-like state. So I would be fully functional and have the experience, but that's why I would have fragmented memory. So the only time that they've ever like pulled an image was when I was little, to look at like fun and creative, or if I've been in the hospital before and they manifested and they were wearing scrubs, but they appeared as a person that I knew would never be in my room, but it was an image of a person I felt comfortable with, but I knew it was not them, because they wanted to communicate with me, and I wasn't feeling good, and I was sick, and I wasn't happy about my situation at the time, and they wanted to not disturb me any worse than I already was, but they needed to talk to me. It was important that they talk to me. So, and other times I've been places where they wanted me to know that they were there and aware of my situation. And they'll take, say, for example, well, in this case, it was a clock, a battery operated clock. And they would take the clock and move it over 4 o'clock. And then I'd be sitting there, and then they do it 4 o'clock. Then I'd be sitting there, and they do it again, 4 o'clock. And I'm like, okay, so you want me to know you're here? And they went around 4 o'clock. So they do stuff like that. So they can be invisible. They can do a lot of different things. It's unbelievable what they're a billion years ahead of us. So it's most of it, we as humans, we just don't understand, because it's way beyond anything that we know of in our reality. Even for our government officials and even for our scientists, we're stepping into a new era of science and education and knowledge. This is all new stuff for everybody. Yeah.
Did you see a lot of reptilians whenever you like a lot of times when you were with these grays?
The group that I am with, or all the time, is a mothership, and it has many, many different races of beings. So I see grays, reptilians, aquatic beings, Nordics, Palladians. Sometimes on these humanoids, I don't really know which race they are. I just know they're humanoid. I just refer to them as humanoids.
When you say humanoid, what do you mean? Did they look
Human?
like
They
a
look
cross
the
between
most.
something?
They look the most like us, but they are lighter complected, and they're much taller, and they're very beautiful. They're not humans. They're much taller than we are, and they're very thin.
Kind of sounds like somebody I know that I've seen lately.
They don't eat and sleep like we do either. For us, food is like highlight of the day. I know I'm Taurus the bull. I love food. I mean, I love it. I'm not gonna lie. And so after we eat breakfast, we're like trying to plan our lunch, and then after lunch, we're trying to plan our dinner. But for in their reality, they eat just like maybe 1 or 2 times a week, and they don't see food as a glorious event. It is a nutrient, and they eat nutrients. They don't consume, they don't do things like we do. Everything is nutrient based. It's a source of nutrient. And
I don't hardly eat anything either, unless I'm at Penny's and she has banana cream pie.
now that's pretty good. But
I know, right? She's so
and
temptress. She's a temptress.
Graves make a paste. They make a nutrient paste, and they rub it in on their skins, and they absorb it in. And then when the way that they get rid of it is through their skin. It excretes out through their skin, and that's how they get rid of the waste. And again, none of them, they don't eat the same amount of meals that we do, and they do not sleep like we do either. They rarely sleep they don't ever sleep like we do, but they can go days without sleeping, days without eating. Yeah.
Go ahead, Tommy.
Maybe that explains the smell that people talk about.
Well,
Yeah, it
could be.
Yeah, we eat the fresh skin too,
Yeah.
but not everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that people say that they smell sulfur. The smell of sulfur is what they smell.
Rotten eggs, bad
Yeah,
trash.
Yeah, I haven't experienced that, but I've heard people say that.
You know how bad it is when I go to, and they do read your minds. How bad it is when I go to the grocery store and I'm trying to pick out groceries and somebody really tall goes by me and I get a whiff of, and then I know because they'll turn around and look at me real quick and then they'll start walking. And I'm like,
well, what it is, I've had that not with reptilians, but what I've come across, like when I'm out shopping, or Nordics, and they blend in fairly well. But for me, I can sense their frequency and they sense mine. They gravitate towards me, and I am drawn toward them to watch them, because I know that they're not human, but I'll see them in places that you would never imagine, like in a Walmart or like a Dollar General, and they'll be just, experiencing the human experience, and they're never dressed to me, they stand out like a sore thumb, but to other people, they don't seem to pay any attention to it.
They can't match their clothes to save their lives.
Right. I mean, it's really strange. And I understand why they like to go to places like Las Vegas or some places in California, because they can blend in very easily.
New York,
Sure.
Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
You said you went on a mothership. Was it always the same ship? And how big was it?
Very big. Okay, so another thing I'll explain to you is, when I was younger, and up until about in my 20s, close to 30, they would change my frequency. I would be either laying in the bed or standing up, and they would take a scanner and run it from head to toe, toe to head, head to toe, back and forth. And I never understood what in the world, what they were doing. But I did know that I would start to lift off the ground or raise up out of the bed. And then I would be holding the hand of the female gray, who's not gray. And she would take me like through the ceiling, through the attic, through a window, or through a door. And as I got older, I would say, how are we doing this? Because I can remember going through the attic and looking around and seeing insulation.
Your physical body
Yes.
going through there? Okay.
Yes. and I would look down and my bed would be empty, or I looked down and I wasn't there. I was holding her hand, and I would ask her, like, how are we doing this? And she would never answer me. But in the attic, I could see like boxes my parents had stacked up in insulation. And then as we would get out in the air and head towards craft, the craft would appear about half the size of a football stadium. But then when we walk into the craft, it's like we were walking into a whole different dimension or something. It's like gigantic.
Huh.
It's everything changed. It was like massive, huge. So
Wow.
they can, their craft can be invisible, or they can manifest it, and they can make it appear different ways, so they can do a lot of things. But I did find out, they explained to me what they were doing when I was younger, is they were that back and forth with a scanner. They were taking my human frequency, elevating it to their frequency. And that's how I was able to go through the door or through the roof or through a window, etc. It's by changing my frequency.
Now,
Nancy, there's
Karen,
stories in the Bible about Jesus walking physically through walls. So, yeah.
Karen wants to know if there is any pattern to the abductions that you have found.
Well, some things that I know, not everybody in the world is ready to hear or wants to hear, but I'll throw it out there anyway. A lot of people have made agreements just like I made an agreement. You made agreements to be a part of this. And that's why I say, like in my bio and different things, that a lot of times we don't realize it at the time. Just like I was so upset and fearful when they came to get my children, at the time, we don't remember anything like that in our past. So a lot of times we've made agreements to do these things, but we forget the minute we step into our human form, all these things are erased. We don't remember anything, like our past, our previous lives, or anything. So that's part of it, is a lot of us don't remember that we've made agreements, and also the way that I understand it, I know that interdimensionals, they will not overstep the boundary. It's a cosmic law. They will not overstep a boundary of interacting with people that are not in direct lineage with them in some way. But I do know that if, even in my family, if a person does not want to be a part of it, they don't have to be. Because I have family members that really, it was not the right time, and it would not have been well received in their timeline, and they just ignored it. Where my oldest son, he's very receptive to it and has all the experiences in the Kundalini awakening. All these things have been, that I do. But my younger son, he's not, he has the experiences, but he's to a point where he's not ready to pursue it. And they don't, until he's ready, they're not going to push him. And they were that way with me.
Okay. Penny,
What
can
does
you take over Karen's answer? I'll be right back. I got a dingling at my door.
Yes. Karen wanted to know, what does Nancy know about gene mtDNA prints? One of my missing times was 2 hours, and I was told by an insider my verification of intact mtDNA was positive.
So she's asking me about missing time?
She's talking about, I think, being
so.
imprinted with DNA. She's used the term gene mtDNA prints. Do you know anything
I'm not
about it?
familiar with that. No, I'm not
MT could be
familiar.
missing time. Yeah.
our soul is what the connection is. It's not our DNA, it's our soul. Because our souls come into human form, and that's where our DNA and our genes come in. But our souls are what is connected to the higher realms.
She said, no, I don't know what she means no by.
Probably that we didn't understand her question.
Right.
Right.
But as far as the missing time and things like that,
He says
that is where they are.
mtDNA is a mitochondrial Eve genetics. Oh, I know about that.
Well,
That's my project. It's my MK Ultra project is Project Genesis, and the sub project is Eve, which is a cloning project, which was initiated via Joseph Mengele, who is, I believe, my actual father. My family looks like Joseph Mengele. My brother looked like Rolf, Joseph and Irene Schoenbein's son, and he was murdered.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Anything about the genetics and recombinant DNA and cloning?
Well, I know about cloning. I know that as far as like extraterrestrials and interdimensionals, they have a much longer life expectancy. We have very short lives compared to any other species within galaxies or universes. And theirs is much, much longer. But if they do reach the point to where they need to change vessels, they can have that done within days. They can have a new vessel designed, and they can go directly into it from one vessel to another.
So their consciousness is transferred from one synthetic body to another.
Soul and consciousness, yes. Yeah.
Yes, that was something that actually a technology that was presented via Joseph Mengele, via the Uber super soldier, the indefinite life via the Uber.
Yeah. Well, human beings our souls are immortal. We continue on and on. It never ends. And that's the way extraterrestrials do it too, where we get put in the ground and then our soul goes up. Extraterrestrials, they don't have to go through that process. They just know it's happening. They accept the process, and they just one transfer without all the drama and stuff that humans have created. A lot of strange things, because we're energy beings and we continue on.
Well,
You
there
can
are
change the thing.
people that I don't think should.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? That's probably what they're here to experience. It's really weird. It's really weird, but
Yeah.
apparently, there's just so much about all this stuff about that we are just now starting to understand, and it's amazing. Sometimes it flips me out, and I can't say that I like everything that I learn. I just lost my 29-year-old daughter-in-law that has a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. And, for me to, I don't know, there's a lot of things involved. You wonder why, who makes these decisions and stuff. And some of the things that I know, sure, I understand, but do I like it? Not necessarily, because I'm a human being, and it's hard to understand. So sometimes I have a human consciousness and an extraterrestrial consciousness. And sometimes I have to try to think like the extraterrestrial, which is looking at a grander, bigger picture. Like, what does this mean? Right now it's awful and horrible, but 10 years from now, what is the significance, So I don't know. There's just so much we don't know.
So you said you sometimes found yourself on a operating table. Do you remember any of that?
No, it wasn't an operating table. It was a gurney, which is like a transport thing for like a physical or something like that. But to answer your questions more on a medical end, they have done medical procedures on me. Yeah.
Remember any of those, or
Oh, absolutely.
what?
I was fully
What was that?
conscious and oh wow. Well, there are no probes or anything like that. They're a billion years ahead of us. And so one time it was a interdimensional and I was laying down and he told me to be quiet and because I was chit-chatting with about what was going on, asking a lot of questions, and he asked me to be silent, and then it was like his consciousness went into my body and traveled around, and he was working on my kidneys. There was something wrong with my kidneys, and he was like he went inside and was doing work that way. But it wasn't like we see things like people saying they're doing psychic surgery, sticking their hand. It wasn't anything
Yes.
like that, like psychic surgery or anything. It was
Yeah,
all
well, psychic
consciousness.
surgery is all fake anyway. You know,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
Oprah's pal. You know, John of, not our God. That's for sure. John of God.
Yeah. But
Actually, I want to jump in. I do know someone who does legit psychic surgery. I do, but I do want to jump in there. I don't want to say it's all fake, but that's.
Oh,
just
I didn't say that.
something
I just
know.
said that guy for sure.
Yeah, John of God. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a satanic fake. But
Fake
they're
and
definitely
sex
good people.
trafficking women, and Oprah promoting him, but then she just skates on by like, hey, that didn't happen.
yeah, that's the thing I keep wanting to emphasize is that their craft are living conscious beings. So when their pilots they are genetically, before they are born or created, which they all have offspring. They don't have sex like we do. They create their offspring in a test tube, and they pick and choose what they want, just like we're fixing to do here on Earth with our children.
We kind of already are doing that. I have
Yeah,
an
we are.
individual that's
We are.
on Awake Nation. His name is Panos Savos, and he has been in male reproductive assisted andrology for 40, 50 years, and he also clones.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So their pilots are genetically designed to be a pilot. So when they get in craft, and they're bonded, just like I'm bonded with the reddish brown female gray, they are bonded with the craft. So nobody else can fly that craft but this bonded extraterrestrial. So when the extraterrestrial gets in, his consciousness links up with the craft, and he simply thinks where he wants to go, and bam, they go.
There's no steering mechanisms or
No,
anything like that. Yes.
no. And they don't use, through their higher consciousness, they know how to go between dimensions and travel. They don't use fuels and propulsions and all that kind of stuff. And we'll never be able to fly their craft. They can try to copy it, but they'll never be able to, because it is a consciousness. It's all done with higher consciousness.
Yes, these things were actually expressed. I'm sorry. These things were actually expressed in because the military industrial entertainment complex actually leaks out some of this information in Stargate and Atlantis. These concepts were actually, given forth to the world, because I know that they're leaking this intel of the advanced technology through the movie industry. I'm sorry, Brenda. What?
I have a question about the offspring thing. Okay. Now, okay, granted, that is a smart way to do that. I wish I would have known that before my daughter bent my body out of shape, broke a few ribs, and used to beat up my bladder. But there's something when you have a baby in you that a bonding. Do they just?
You can do that. You can do that through. It's in a prenatal sac or whatever. It's in that, but they will go and they will communicate with it, and they can like touch and do all that kind of stuff. So they do those things. I mean, there's a lot of thought put into everything they do, a lot, and they are a billion years ahead of us. So they know these things. And so they would go in and communicate and have that interaction so that when it's born, it knows who its family is.
Oh, that's
And like with the Greys, for the Greys, when they are created born, when they get to about 3, they're pretty much fully a full adult. They're in their adult stage.
Oh, well, that's good. They don't have to stay at home and live off of mom and dad. They just kind of already born to go out.
Yeah. Well, there is no money or currency in their reality. They don't buy and shop.
I've seen that. I mean, people say, "Oh, Penny, you're talking about utopia," but I actually saw it. A society that doesn't live off of money. They're like, "Well, how does it live?" You know, we used to use barter as currency.
Yeah.
But now, unfortunately, we use human slavery. And I can imagine some of the extraterrestrials that are hanging out going, damn, you know, when are they gonna stop with it? Because I hate war. It's a moneymaker for all the countries. It has nothing to do with, you know, justification. They're fighting for a flag. They're fighting so they can make more money. It's an epic loss of human life that no matter what side of Gaza or Israel you're on, it's a war, and it's a tragic loss of human life. And I am for humanity, not for any kind of war for the military industrial.
Yeah. And my philosophy is don't pick a side. If you pick a side, you are given into negativity for either one. And neither side is right. War is wrong. Like you said, war is wrong. Pray for peace. Put your energy towards peace. Pick the side of peace. Don't pick any other side, because neither side is wrong or right or whatever. They're all fighting for wrong reasons to begin with. So put your energy to and pray for peace.
That's very, very wise.
Mm-hmm.
Susie, did you have a question?
I think we lost Susie.
There.
Oh, no, I'm good.
there she
I'm
is.
good.
Brian, did you have a question? Brian?
No. I'm so you know, let's get in a shameless plug here for our conference where Nancy is going to be presenting on the main stage in July, the Full Disclosure Now conference. Nancy, can you give us any previews of what you're going to be discussing? Anything, you know, that you're excited to be sharing?
Well, what I'm excited to share with the whole world is that all of us, we are all disclosure. We are all disclosure, and we all want humanity to benefit and become better places to live, not only for us, but for future generations, you know, our grandchildren's grandchildren, and on and on. And we are the stepping stones to creating a new world for us. And the human experience should be so much more enjoyable, and we should be enjoying our lives. And I think through this great leap in higher evolutionary stage that we're crawling into or creeping into, and it's going to keep expanding, we are going to be seeing beautiful, wonderful things, and we will become a world of unity, a world of understanding our origins, our connections with all living things around us, and have an appreciation and realize that negativity and warlike ways no longer serve us or humanity, and we'll learn to change. And I think that we're going to understand that the things that we fear are things that we were told we should fear, because it was a control mechanism to keep us from reaching higher levels of consciousness. But we're going to wake up and realize that we're not going to tolerate this anymore. And we're going to learn to take AI technology and use it. It is a man-made tool, and use it to benefit all of us, not just a certain few elites that control it. We'll learn to make it to where it will not take away jobs. It will create new jobs. And we will take jobs that we will not even call jobs. We'll call it service to self, service to our community. And it will be things that we love to do. And it will not take up all our time. We will spend more time with our families and with ourselves and love our lives here. So my message is that we're in a beautiful stage of evolution and we are all a part of it. And it all is about looking within, finding out who we are, play our role, work on ourselves, and it will span through our children, through our friends and family, and then it goes further and further until it reaches all of humanity. And it's not something that's going to happen overnight, but it is going to happen, and we are the ones helping it to jumpstart. So we all play an important role, and as it progresses, we'll all be a part of it. So,
and this brings us to one of my favorite questions to ask Nancy, all of these guests are, do you have a time frame in terms of when this is like this ascension, and maybe perhaps when
Excellent
we're
question.
advanced enough that the ET friends can come on down en masse without violating the Prime Directive? Do you give us 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30, 50?
There is no such thing time in their reality. Everything is happening here and now. Everything is happening all at once. We created time. So the way they explain it to me is that a lot of it depends on humanity, because they're not going to pressure us. This has to happen organically. So as it starts, it will continue and it will spread just like the common cold. It will spread and it will happen so vastly, but it will not be in a shocking way. It will be a slow created thing. So they don't tell me that how long it's going to take. It's really up to us. It's up to humanity and how much we can, people like us are helping others to raise their own frequency. So we're doing our part. And as long as we're doing our part, showing our interest and working at the common good of raising our frequency, then that is the indication that they want, is for us to show we are doing our part and we are ready to welcome them and we are ready to be part of the cosmic realm. So it's not something that can just happen overnight, because not everybody feels like we do. So it has to slowly get to them, So they don't give me time frames.
Okay.
Where can people find you? I know that your web is timefordisclosure.com. Do you also have a YouTube? Are you on X? How can people get in touch with you?
Well, I'm on Facebook and I have my Facebook group and I belong to a lot of groups. I love all the groups and I think they all work well together. I guess not everything's perfect, but I always try to see that's part of being more positive. You just got to see the good side of things and not look at the negative aspects of the world. And so anyway, but Facebook group is called Time for Disclosure / We Have Never Been Alone / We Are the Disclosure, because I think as we all wake up and become higher consciousness, we will not care what the government says or admits or whatever. We will know. And we will look inside ourselves and know all these answers and realize we probably know more than they do. So, I think we are the ones that the world and the universe has been waiting on. And it's us, all of humanity, and all of us that are stepping up and helping to help the rest of the world to fall in line and understand this.
Yeah, that's sometimes a bigger bone to chew on than others, because we have a lot of wayward lost children, and I can say that because I have one.
Well,
and I don't know, it's going to take the house.
That's part of this.
Yeah.
But here's the kicker. You will find when you start being very positive and if you see the bright side of everything, the people that really want to see all the negative sides of things, you will make them sick. They will not even want to be around you. So they will eliminate themselves. And the thing is that you've heard about runners that run and they say they get that adrenaline rush, that it feels
Yes.
so good. Well, as you
Endorphins.
reach higher frequency, it feels good. You can feel it within. You can feel it. And it is contagious. Other people around you say, what are you eating? What are you drinking? You know, and it's all it is raising your frequency. And once people realize this, they're going to all get on board because it does. It feels really good. And you can feel it when you're around like-minded people and you're, you know, it's just like that. It's a frequency. And when we all get in tune together, it's just unbelievable. And the thing about it is when we all get on board with this, we are unstoppable. We are unstoppable. And that's
You know, I try to stay positive. I actually have people that will just come to me. But I've got those stubborn, negative people that no matter how positive I am, they manage to slap me.
Yes.
Now, I
We
do.
all do.
God said turn the other cheek, but then they'll hit me in that one too. So,
yeah.
so I just kind of try to distance myself sometimes. I don't have
You
much.
have to. You have to. And it's just like I don't watch the news because none of it's true and it's
Oh,
all
no.
negative stuff. It's
Yeah,
just
I agree.
negativity. And that is done intentionally to keep humanity in fear, to keep us in a very in fear and negative and anxiety, etc. And
Yes.
see, and if you'll also realize that most diseases and sickness stems from anxiety, negative,
Yes.
you know, things, stressing the body
You're
out.
not at ease, you're at dis-ease.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to be more positive, and our feelings, our emotions, everything will change and become better. And our planet, everything around us will do the same.
Well, I'm still waiting for that house to fall on my child's head just to make her understand that there is another way. And you know, it's odd because she grew up around me. You know, she went to college when she got married. So she was out of the house and went to college. And, you know, I think that's what did it right there. Because
Yeah.
after
You
that,
gotta fall. You gotta fall before you learn to walk. So it's the same thing in life. We have to
if
go
she
through
doesn't
the
fall
bad to get to
soon,
the good. Yeah.
if she don't fall soon, I'm going to go trip her with my one good leg because it's taken her forever. So we've only got about 7 minutes left. So let's do the whole roundabout thing. And again, can you remind everybody, Nancy, where they can find you?
Timefordisclosure.com, and then Facebook, Time for Disclosure /we.
If someone wanted to email you, Nancy, is there an email that they could email you at?
Yes, it's just nbt088 @gmail.com.
Okay. And Brian, you have to Brian, bat away.
Well, the most important thing that I've been kind of stressing for everyone, because it's kind of time sensitive, is next month in July 15th to 18th at St. Pete Beach, Florida. We are having 4 days and nights of presentations, special event dinners, dancing, organizing, and networking on the beach, no less, for the 2024 Full Disclosure Now conference, which Nancy here is going to be headlining on one of the first 2 days. I think it's day 2 in the morning, I believe.
Day 2.
And yeah, and so we're very much looking forward to that. And everyone can find us at fulldisclosuremovement.org. Our URL is currently being trolled and banned for spam.
Oh, God.
I know. We've all gotten it, Brian.
Yeah, censorship, but it's fine. And then you can find me on Facebook as well. Please send me a friend request. I'm Brian Sang, just like it's spelled on the screen, and add Solar Bee. It's my nickname because I'm also being banned on Facebook personally. And
That
send
is
me a friend
true.
request about how you'd like to get involved with all of us in the disclosure movement. Thank you.
Yes, unfortunately, he is being trolled by and getting
Yes.
death threats. And I tried to share some of his content because he is a co-host on this show, and also he is on Awake Nation as a regular, and he's also on the Dark Outpost is a regular. And I tried to share some of his content, and Facebook came back and said, "You shared that just to get likes." And I'm like, "Excuse me?" And then they said that they threatened me with further action. I shared his content twice. So what I've done now, Brian, is they made me so mad that I screenshot all of your stuff, and then I sent it out on X, on LinkedIn, on IG, and then I copied it, screenshot it, and copied it and posted it in my Facebook. So where there's a will,
Excellent.
there's a way.
And Brian, I severely want to express this so badly. I want you to be very, very careful. Very careful. Even while you're in Florida, I don't care if you got to hire 6 goons that look
Well, he's
like
got Touchdown Tommy.
massive apes. Yeah,
Touchdown
you got
Tommy will be there.
I've got security. I've got security, and I've been told that we're going to be very protected at this conference.
I'm
Through
telling
some
you.
contactees, I'm sure Nancy would be familiar with this concept.
Yeah.
We've been told there should be about 8 very friendly motherships hovering in the region.
Yes, lots of prayer.
Susie's got that horse trailer to load me up in the back of in my wheelchair, and we will come armed and with plenty of ammo.
I think we're all doing the Facebook crunch. I was banned for 6 days and was not unable to post anything, and everything that I ever put about the conference they have removed.
Yeah,
And
I-
I belong
right
to
now.
over 100 rooms.
they did it to me over Brian's post of his dog.
Oh
Yes,
my
me
goodness.
too. They said I was
And-
trying to
and
get
it
likes
was-
over
I
Winnie
was-
the
because the
Wonder
dog,
Dog.
it's because the dog had the link
inciting.
to the
They
conference.
said
Is
I was
why.
in. Yeah, the picture. I made the comment and said she's beautiful. I was inciting violence and self-harm
Yeah.
because his dog was beautiful.
That's just some crazy shit.
Yeah.
Also,
So
Nancy,
catchy.
are you on X?
No.
Okay.
I should
And,
get into more of that kind of
You
thing.
should.
You
Yeah.
can get locked out of your X account too.
No,
Join
probably.
us so you can
Poor
get
Tommy.
kicked out of X
Two of them.
as well. Join us.
Tommy,
So,
just use
Touchdown
mine.
Tommy, where can people
It's
find you,
clearly
and
on there.
how can they contribute to helping you?
I'm here on the multiverse, just hanging around. You can find me online at Touchdown Tommy Edwards on Facebook, on Instagram, same thing. YouTube is Tommy Edwards 7062, I believe, or 7063, 762. But I mean, it's pictures of me and music with me in it and stuff. It's pretty easy to figure that out. I look like this. If they want to help me out, they can hit me up at Cash App, and my cash tag is hashtag Dr. Gonzo Bing Bong. Dr. Gonzo Bing Bong.
Dr.
The D
Gonzo
and the
Bing
G-
Bong?
The D and the G are capital. Everything else is
Dr.
lowercase.
Gonzo Bing Bong.
Bing Bong.
Bing Bong.
Also,
Dr. Gonzo, we got to talk about the Bing Bongs here later. There got to be some Bing
He said
Bongs.
Bing Bong, not Big Bong.
I said Bing Bong. I didn't say
It's
Bing
not the size
Bong.
of the bong. It's the concentration of the crystals in the weed.
Right. Right.
And Susie, where can everybody find you, Miss Susie?
Okay, on Facebook under Suzanne Hott, and then I come on the Awake Nation with Penny and Dave every other Friday, and then I come on every other Friday, I think, on the Dark Outpost, and then you can find me here Friday and Saturday nights. So that's it.
And
Awesome.
Penny.
Yes, that is
I was
my
going
name.
to call you Susie. I get you mixed
That's
up.
all right. I get it. We look alike. So you can find me on The Awake Nation Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern. You can also find me on the Dark Outpost at darkoutpost.tv. It's $30 for a year. A portion of that goes to fight sex trafficking. You can also find Brian and Susie Q on The Awake Nation and also on the Dark Outpost. Susie, her episode is actually called Hot Shots, because that's her last name, Suzanne Hott. And we don't have a name for yours yet, Brian, but we'll get one. It is full disclosure now, but I need to do a theme song for you.
Brian,
And then also
Song for song.
Dr. Gonzo Bing Bong. And then also you can find us here every Friday and Saturday evening from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Central and from 10 to 12 midnight Eastern time. That's at Beyond the Box every weekend, which is Friday and Saturday. And again, and then you can also find me on X at Shepherd Out, because that's usually what I say when we're out of time, and we're out of time. So I'm going to say Shepherd Out.
We are not out of time until this fat lady sings.
Oh, that's the second fat lady singing.
You can, and everybody, you can find me on like almost every social media. Later on this evening, I'm going to be out in the woods playing kickball with Bigfoot, and maybe have to take a bath later. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, but we will be back tomorrow night, and of course 9:00 Central, 10:00 Eastern. I think I said that right. Yes, I did.
Yes, you did.
I hate times. You know what? I lived 10 years in Arizona. We never changed times ever. And it was awesome. I don't even understand this whole time thing. Would any of you know how old you were if you didn't have a birthday?
No.
Nope. Wouldn't matter. Wouldn't. I'm
this age.
Look, I started going backwards a little while ago. Technically, really, I'm only like 31.
Okay.
So
Good to know.
yeah, I know, right? So everybody join us tomorrow night, and we will have another fascinating show. And I want to say thank you. Thank you so much, Nancy, for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Brian
it.
and Tommy, for being here. I have the best panel in the world. You guys are all just so awesome.
A lot of
just
fun.
love everybody. We lost Dr. Lampshade halfway through, but he had an
He'll be here
important
tomorrow.
call he had to take.
His
Yeah.
favorite song is "You Light Up My Life."
Oh,
Are you sure? I thought it was Motel 6. We keep the light on for you.
Sorry, I got a little bilocation a couple times there.
Yeah, I'm going to have Tommy write a song for Dr. Lampshade.
Okay.
I see.
Right. So, everybody, we will see you tomorrow night. And just
God
like
bless.
always, please be kind to one another. Bye-bye.
yes. Bye.
Goodbye for now from Beyond the Box. Inside, outside, upside, downside, beyond the box. Please join us again for Beyond the Box, Friday and Saturday evenings from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern. Join us for more intel bombs with our extraordinary guests.
Break it down.
Inside, outside, upside, downside, beyond the box.
Break it down.
Good night, Putin. Good night, Tucker Carlson.